Hi everyone, welcome to ChinesePod. My name's Fiona.
大家好，欢迎来到中文播客，我是 Constance.
You're watching an episode of
请问
Today's 请问 is a comprehensive guide to directional verbs and their complements. Now let's put aside the jargon, the lingo, right? What are directional verbs and what are their complements? First of all, during your studies, you've probably come across 上下来去进出
对
So all of these seem quite straightforward, right? To go up, to go down, to go in, to go out, to go towards, and to come towards.
Go away.
To go away and to come towards. Separately, they're all fine, right? Very straightforward. However, in Chinese, we tend to want to expand on what we're saying a bit further. What do I mean by that? We often pair them up together. So 进来进去
对
上来上去
出来出去还有下来下去
没错 Now, these, when you start pairing them together, is where most people start to get confused. You're like, where I'm going upstairs, but I'm going towards you, or is it from my perspective? And that's where things get a little bit tricky. But not to worry, today we're going to give you plenty of examples and explain to you a bit of the concept behind how these directional verbs and their complements are used. So first, let's start with to go up and to go down, and specifically to go up towards you or to go down away from you. We're going to talk about 上来上去下来下去
对
and how these things are different. First, let's look at a short clip. Please excuse our acting. We thought it'd be better to kind of help you visualize it with an actual video clip of us talking about these terms.
对你上来
好，我上去。
Okay, so what do we hear in this first clip?
第一个就是听到你上来然后另外一个人说Fiona 说好我上去
Okay, so in this first clip, we hear Constance say, you come up. So both of us were talking about going up.
对
However, one chooses to use 来 and one uses 去. Or Constance uses 来 and I use 去. Now, why is that?
因为对我来说我要他上来到我这里但是呢 Fiona 是要上去要离开他站的那个地方
So Constance wants me to come towards her location. And that's why she uses 来你上来 I'm leaving my position. And that's why I say 去好我上去
对
Now let's look at another clip.
我到了，你下来吧。
好那我马上下去
All right, so in the second clip, you can see all the direction is going down. It's all going downstairs.
对因为 Fiona 在楼下她在这个楼的下面所以我就说我下去因为我从上面要下去
So Constance is leaving her position, and because I'm downstairs waiting for her, I'm saying, you come towards me. 好，你下来吧。
对
Now, so in these first two clips, they're very classic uses of 来 and 去.
对
Now let's look at maybe something slightly different.
哎 ，Constance，你也住这儿啊？
对啊我刚搬来
你住几楼？
6楼要不要上来喝个茶
好，那我们一起上去。
好第三个比较特别因为我们两个都在1楼
The special thing about this clip is that we're both downstairs. However, and we're in the same place. However, one person chooses to use 来 and one person chooses to use 去. Now, what's
对
going on there?
这里面有一个重点因为我要请你到我家所以呢我说上来意思是来我家因为我觉得我已经在我的家所以我改变我的看的那个视角
Okay, so the special thing here is that Constance wants to invite me to her home. Suddenly that point, that location switches to her house. Now this is the interesting thing about directional complements in Chinese. The perspective can often shift. I can shift to Constance's perspective. Constance can shift her own perspective. It's not fixed literally where she's speaking. She can move it to her home, and that's why she says 要不要上来? Would you like to come to my home?
对.
And that's why I go, sure, let's go up, let's go there, let's leave this place. 好，那我们上去吧。
对，因为对我来说那是我家，对我来说，但是对 Fiona 来说那是别的地方，所以上去，所以两个人的感觉不太一样。
Yeah, because it's Constance's home, so she's going towards that location, whereas I'm moving from my location to that new location.
没错。
Now let's move on to the two verbs 进 出, so to go in and out of a room. Now these two verbs often are complemented with 来 and 去.
对，所以我们常常说进来，进去，或是出来，出去。
So we'll often say 进来, so come in, or 进去, I'm going in, or 出去, I'm heading out, or 出来, so come out of that room. So when we're talking about going into a room, coming out of a room, the most common situation is when you knock, right? When you're like, excuse me, can I come in? And the person goes, yeah, sure, come in. Let's see how that plays out in Mandarin.
进来，
我进去喽。
我也进来喽。
很好。
So how does this clip start, Constance?
一开始是有人敲门，那么 Gwilym 就说进来，因为他在房间里面，所以他说进来，因为往他这个方向移动。
So please come towards me. Enter into the room and come towards me. Now I say, sure. I'm going to enter into that room. I'm going to 进, and then I'm going to leave my position and go towards you. So 进来,进去.
对。
However, you say something funny. Why don't you say the same thing as me? So I say, 我进去了, but then you say,
我也进来喽。
我也进来了.
这里有两个可能，一个是对我来说，我要进去这个房间，所以我很快要进去。那 Gwilym 在里面，所以我觉得我马上已经要到这个房间，我就改成进来，因为好像我换到了 Gwilym 的这个角度去看，所以我会说我进来。
So the first possibility is that because you're entering into the room so quickly, your perspective kind of changes, right? Or it switches to Gwilym's perspective.
所以我已经进来房间了。可是呢，还有一个可能，我们说话的时候很自然，有的时候会重复对方讲的话，因为 Gwilym 说进来，然后我也要进去，所以我会说好，我进来了，就好像重复他讲的话。
So the second possibility is that it's very natural for us to mimic another person, right? So if you're like, come in, you'd be like, okay, I'm coming in.
对对对。
进来，好，那我也进来了。
对。
So again, there's two possibilities. First is mimicking someone. So maybe this is a good tactic or strategy to take on. If someone's like 进来, you can be like, 好，我进来了。But I think a more important thing to note, maybe not to reproduce per se at this point, but to notice that Chinese often shifts perspective, both in terms of between people, but sometimes also within time and space. It's actually more flexible than, for example, compared to English.
就好像因为看到影片，我们正在走进去，所以很难决定是来还是去。没错。
Now we're going to show you 3 more clips where you're going to see these directional verbs and their complements in practice.
Constance，我在附近逛街，你要不要出来？
不要，太阳好大，我不要出去。
喂 ，Constance，你快出来！看明星，好像有人在拍电影。
真的吗？我马上出去。
Fiona，下去看看好不好？
但下去以后要怎么上来？
Now let's move on to the third part of this video. We've established that we have a main directional verb and then we tag a complement onto it. Okay, keep that thing in mind because now we're going to talk about upstairs, downstairs, and going upstairs and going downstairs. In Chinese, they sound very similar. Let's first talk about going upstairs and going downstairs.
因为上跟下，它们除了是一个方向的名词，它们也可以当做动词。所以如果你要说 going upstairs， 你可以说上楼。
上楼. Remember, Chinese mostly is chronological, right? So I'm going up the floor.
对。
上楼，下楼 I'm going down the floor.
所以这个时候上跟下都是动词，不要弄错了。
So these two, in this situation, 上 and 下 are verbs. Remember, one more time. We're going up the floor, we're going down the floor. 上楼，下楼. Now let's learn the nouns for upstairs and downstairs.
因为上跟下如果当成是方位的话，那就要放在名词的后面。
Okay, so when we change 上 and 下 to indicate location, we move it behind the noun. Now, if we simply switch it over, 楼上 is upstairs.
对。
楼下 is downstairs.
对。
Again, this all sounds pretty straightforward when we're talking about them separately, but in a sentence, when you're speaking to someone, it's easy to get these things wrong. For example, Willem often struggles with 楼上楼下下楼上楼. So we're going to get it very clear for you today. For example, if I'm asking you, 你在楼上还是在楼下? What am I asking you? First, we hear 楼, then we hear 上 and 下, right? So I'm asking you if you're upstairs or downstairs. In this case, it's a clear noun, right? We're
对，
talking
你
about
在
upstairs.
楼的上面还是楼的下面？对。
Now, if I want to come towards you, right? I need to go downstairs to go find you. What would I say?
下楼，我下楼去找你。
我下楼去找你. So I'm going down the floor to find you. 我下楼去找你. Or 我上楼去找你.
对。
So when you just heard 我上楼 or 下楼去找你, this 去 isn't really to go. Rather, we're kind of using the verb that we just learned before, 上去 and 下去, that 去. 我上楼去找你.
对。
I'm making my direction very, very clear to you.
对，所以如果你不说这个去也可以，因为不确定是到底是coming toward 还是 going away， 那你就说我上楼找你。 或是我下楼找你也可以。
So you can omit this 去, right? If the direction, if you're not clear whether you're moving or going away from this point or going towards a speaker, you can just say 我下楼找你. I'll go downstairs to go find you.
对。
Now let's use this concept of 楼上, 楼下, so upstairs, downstairs, and 上楼, 下楼. We can use the same concept and apply it to slightly different nouns. For example, let's take car. Okay. So if I'm saying 我上车, what does that mean?
我要进到车子的里面。
Yeah. So I'm getting into the car, right? The focus is on the action of me going into the car. And if I'm getting out of a car, I would say 我下车. Just like 我上楼下楼. The same concept. The key thing is the thing in the front. Right? If the 上 and 下 is at the front, it means that you're emphasizing the motion or the action.
对。
But if the noun is in the front, you're focusing on the thing you're talking about.
没错。所以如果你说我在车上，其实不是我在车子上面，这个是中文跟英文在用这个上下的观念不一样的地方。我在车上，意思是我在车子里面，因为当然我不会在车子的上面。对，那同样的，我们就不会听到有人说我在车下，因为车下就真的是 under the car，就不会这样子说了。
So this is where conceptually English and Chinese might be quite different. It's how we express our prepositions almost, right? So the key thing to remember here, if I say 我要上车了, remember the first thing is the most important thing. Here I'm focusing on my action of getting on. Oh, I'm about to get on the car. Okay? But if I'm in the car, I would say 我在车上. Here I'm not talking about I'm physically on top of the car. I'm saying I'm in the car. It could be I'm driving, I'm a passenger. It doesn't really matter. Okay, stay with us here. Let me give you one more example to really highlight this. 上楼下楼楼上楼下. Let's use the example maybe of a plane, right?
Okay.
Because it's less likely that we're on top of a plane and underneath the plane. So you can say 我上飞机
对
我下飞机 So I'm getting on a plane, I'm getting off a plane
对
我在飞机上我
不太能够在飞机下太危险
Yeah. So this is the thing. If you're talking about transport, right? You're not going to be underneath the plane or underneath the car. Let's look at something a bit bigger. Let's say we're climbing a mountain. Okay.
我要上山动作先
Okay, so the action is first. Remember, you hear the 上 first, so that we're focusing on we're going up the mountain. 我要上山 And if we're going down a mountain,
下山
Now, if you're saying, Constance, I'm on a mountain top, what would I say?
我在山上
Okay, and if I'm at the bottom of the mountain, I would say,
我在山下
okay, are you guys still with us? So the reason that we picked these examples is that these are often words that learners struggle with conceptually. For example, it's very natural for me to be like, oh, I'm in so-and-so mountain in English, right? I'm in Yangmingshan, for example. But in Chinese, I wouldn't say 我在山里
好像你在一个你住在山的里面
Yeah, it's either like you live in it or you're some kind of hermit or you're physically in the mountain. I'd be like, are you in a cave or something?
对对对
The natural expression would be 我在山上 or if you're at the bottom of the mountain
我在山下
yes And the same goes with car or with plane or any kind of transport, right? It's if you're talking about where you are 我在车上 that means you're in a car not on top of a car 我在飞机上 it means you're in a plane not on top of a plane Alright guys, loads of stuff for you to digest. I would definitely recommend looking at those examples a few more times because then I think it probably consolidates and feels a bit more natural. And the prepositions also might be different to your native tongue, but the important thing here is to get into that Chinese frame of mind. Every language expresses location, time, actions in a slightly different way. So hopefully today we gave you those key concepts to help you express your directional movement more fluently and more accurately.
没错
Alright guys, we hope you enjoyed today's 请问 and if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. 我们下次见，再见。
再见